Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is the finally, the long-awaited return of Overkill reactions. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just reiterate this just before we begin, because I've got very few words to say before we get started. Apart from, apparently, from what I've heard, I Hear Black, released in 1993, is considered the most underrated Overkill album of them all. But with that being said, I could turn around and easily say that every single album Overkill has ever released is the most underrated metal album of all time. Partly because Overkill is the single most underrated metal band of all time. It's also been one of the longest, that's been at least 43 years in existence. And it's the longer way to return, because I think this is when Gustafsson was no longer in Overkill, I believe, because this has someone called Merritt Grant, Blitz, Vernie, and... Hold on, boys, let me just pop this one in. Let me find out. Blitz, Vernie, Gant, and... Shit, my boots. Who else was it? Sid Fallick was still in this, I believe. Oh, no, hang on, yeah, Ellsworth. Well, regardless, although I think it does matter quite a bit, we're going to at least see what the buzz is all about. So, if you guys are ready for the mayhem to begin, and why do I say Overkill are the most underrated of all time? You'll find out. So, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Dreaming in Colombian in 3, 2, 1, and... Oh my god.
Close my eyes and bring me there. I fall apart, the pieces are so hard to find. A puzzle of pieces thrown in air. Dream. Hold my eyes and take me there. One by one I watch as the pieces disappear. My friends become the ones I hate. This has a cards in, woe is stand the word. I shut my eyes to escape. And all my lights turn to black. Every time I close my eyes and think of the young. path of separation from my soul. Where's the path of separation is now? My wife's pieces fall apart. I try to make the brain start. I'm falling in, I'm falling out, I'm falling up, I'm falling back, I'm falling down, falling around, and that's why all my lights have turned to black. Every time I close my eyes, you look over the eye. All my ones are coming back. Falling on my face is begun. Columbia.
Interesting. Very, very interesting to start. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dreaming in Colombian by Overkill. I'll level with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to be straight up, because one of the things that I've always loved about Overkill in the past is that it's one of those groups that I've been very upfront with, because they seem to bathe in what they love, and I think that's really, really some of the best mindset you can have. Just be overcome with what you love to the point where it becomes you, and you in turn become it. And Overkill, quite possibly, I mean, even though I haven't listened to quite a lot of Slayer, Overkill is almost on the same level as, let's say, Megadeth when it comes to thrash, because just like Megadeth, I picture retro video games like something like Duke Nukem or Doom. I'd say Overkill is a lot more Doom than Duke Nukem or stuff like that, or even Contra. Because, listen, you want proof? I will at some point redo my Grinding Wheel, the entire album of that, including stuff like Mean Green, Killing Machine, and Red, White, and Blue, because that shit is like really, really, like, I mean, it's not even that old of an album, but it is just, it's up there. Let me put it like that. I say these things because Dreaming in Colombian sounded, purely from just my own experience, sounded a bit softer than what I had remembered Overkill doing. Now, with that being said, Overkill is actually really, really good at doing doom metal a lot of justice. Skull Crusher, one of my favourite songs ever made by Overkill, is technically doom metal. But I'm struggling to work out why but the song is simultaneously too short but not long enough. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, an ideal doom song should be quite long. It should be something that boils and brews like beer. It should be something where the smell lingers. Like, basically the overall beat to Skull Crusher is doom 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 doom. It's like that. It's slow. It's progressive until Ellsworth and Gustafson. I keep calling him Ellsworth. Guston and Blitz literally set the album on fire. And Hear the Fire. Was it called Hear the Fire? It was one of the earlier ones, but it was an explosive. It was explosive because it built up to it. Dreaming in Colombian kind of doesn't really build up to anything, and the solo was a good little solo, but it didn't really break. Like, Overkill solos are really good at kind of like standing out with what they've built on before, and then they throw something else into the mix. In Dreaming in Colombian, it's like, you know what? I'll tell you what the music for Dreaming in Colombian is like, just from my perspective. It's like gravy. you can put gravy on a lot of things. You could put it on lamb, you could put it on pork, you could put it on beef, you could put it on chicken. You can even get something called bovril, which is basically drinkable gravy, which you could just have in a mug and you could just drink it. It's good, but there are much better things out there than just drinking gravy. You know what I'm trying to say? And you can put lots of things into gravy. You can flavor it like you can have like sage and onion gravy. You can have like chili flakes gravy. There's a lot of stuff you can add to it. It just kind of, it lacks a kind of zing, a kind of like a flavor. I don't really want to call the song dull, because if Blitz is good at one thing, it's that he sort of like conjures up like a deep wail inside. He's kind of like a banshee of singers. It's sort of like it builds up and then it releases itself. In this one, Blitz is kind of a little bit reserved and conservative, and if that wasn't like, that's problem enough already. But the problem is that you know what, that's a good point. I suppose when you think about it, they did kind of like focus on riffs a lot in Dreaming in Colombian. The only problem is that, so it's all well and good to focus a lot of your attention on that sort of thing, but unless, if that's the only thing you can really remember off the top of your head, then that's a little bit problematic. I want my Overkill to be like an atomic explosion. I want chaos. I want destruction. I want absolute mayhem, pandemonium, chaos, Final Destination stuff. I want shit to be real. Dreaming in Colombian is, I hope more than anything, it's kind of like a prelude to what's going to come up. Like a calm before the storm kind of scenario. Because there have been examples in, I think there were, because Elimination was not really was not slow. Mean Green Killing Machine was not slow. There's actually quite a lot of stuff. Overkill, it's kind of rare for me to get into an Overkill song that is, especially the beginning of an album in particular, that's quite slow. But if, you know what, Overkill haven't really let me down in the years past, so we'll see what comes out next. I'm gonna give this another go. In fact, I'll do the next song will probably be I Hear Black anyway. So I just want to see if there is something I'm missing, just to see what's up. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video to Dreaming in Colombian by Overkill. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Dreaming in Colombian yourselves. Please let me know if there is anything I'm missing from this. But then again, I'm just being completely fair. So you can't blame me for that. Please make sure to also check us out for the next videos, ladies and gentlemen. In case you're wondering, I don't say please make sure to like and subscribe anymore, because I think people who do that are just kind of like tacky and kind of cheap, because they've got like millions of subscribers anyway. Like, what more do they need? And I will see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I will welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have got another reaction to Overkill to kick in tonight. And my eye was just caught because apparently I Hear Black is about David Berkowitz, the son of Sam Killer. The song is written from Berkowitz's point of view. I'm gonna open up a little thing about Berkowitz, and we'll look into a little bit American serial killer David Berkowitz. We'll take a quick look at him possibly near the end of this, because it's not particularly unusual for rock and metal bands to start making songs about serial killers. They've all done it to some capacity. You get lots of songs about Jack the Ripper. You get a lot about oh god, who am I thinking of? Jack the Ripper. I think there was I'm pretty sure there must have been a song about the Yorkshire Ripper. Nightwish also did a song about the Columbine High School Massacre. There is a lot of material, and they're not short of it either. But with that being said, going into this to someone who knows nothing about Mr. Berkowitz, I think we're going to see exactly what... Do you think possibly these are supposed to be like brain stems inside Mr. Berkowitz, and they're all sort of like rotten and twisting in different directions? Maybe, possibly. But I quite like the idea that it's against like an orange backdrop. That's quite a striking look. But with all that being said and done, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. I hear black in 3, 2, 1, and... Ooh. You remember how in the last video in Dreamy and Colombian, I explained how it didn't feel particularly like very spicy, or there wasn't kind of like a zing involved? I hear black. I can get into this. This is more chill. Like, if Dreamy and Colombian was like pumpkin soup, this is pumpkin and chorizo soup. Seriously, have it in autumn or in early winter. It's fascinating stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was I Hear Black by Overkill. Like I said before, if Dreaming in Colombian was a very strange way for me to like start off this album, I Hear Black just kind of like pulled me into it a little bit more. It's like, you know what? Give it another try and it all makes sense. That's very, very catchy, and I always find it quite interesting, especially whenever a group decides that for one reason or another they're going to do a song about a serial killer. How exactly do you get into that person's head? What do you suppose makes him that way? What is the way we can represent madness in this person to make this more believable? And I think I love the fact that they got into Berkowitz's head and they asked questions like, why won't you leave me? Why won't you leave me? I won't care. He's asking so many things and they're kind of like counteracting off each other. Why are you leaving me? But I won't care. How am I supposed to breathe when there is no air? It's like he's asking these really strange questions. It's like he's got another person in his head who can testify to his alibi. I mean, what was the line again? How am I supposed to breathe when there is no air? And how am I supposed to be if those hooks are pulling me down? Exactly. So perhaps he was in some way in bondage or held back for some reason. So there was no way he could prove that he was. But then again, I suppose when he says hooks, like, what does he mean by that? I'm supposing it's not referring to the song, although that's a good excuse if any. But it kind of like leads into the idea that there are holes in this guy's story and why he's somebody who's hardly can be trusted. Let me see. Now what are you supposed to do when they got their hooks in you? Like, he suddenly is he asking us or is he asking himself? Well, one thing or another, because it opens up with basically the idea that Berkowitz is going to admit to what he's done. Bad or a wet dream, feeling so in between, gun in my pocket and target on my head. He feels as if like he is going to be the one to... That's a very, very sociopathic tendency right there. Thinking that he is going to be the one miserable for what he's about to do. And then I love the part where the song all of a sudden just went really, really slow. Dun, 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 dun. I love it when it really slow because it just let things sink in. Like the process is just, this is Berkowitz's big moment, and then he did what did he do actually? I've got to find out. So David Berkowitz, for other people named David Berkowitz, see David Berkowitz disambiguation. Son of Sam redirects here from other uses of Son of Sam, seeing the disambiguation. Mugshots, August 11th, 1977. Born Richard David Falco, June 1st, aged 67. So he's still alive? He could have been that old, 24 years old. I would not say he looked 24. He looked at least like 38, possibly. David Richard Berkowitz, also self-proclaimed with the name Son of Sam and christened by the media as the .44 caliber killer due to the weapon he used, is an American serial killer who pleaded guilty to 8 separate shooting attacks that began in New York City during the summer of 1976. Berkowitz grew up in New York City and served in the United States Army before committing his crimes. Using a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver, he killed 6 people and wounded 7 others by July 1977. The killing spree terrorized New Yorkers and gained worldwide notoriety. As the number of victims increased, Berkowitz eluded the biggest police manhunt in the history of New York City. while leaving letters that mocked the police and promised further crimes, which were highly publicized in the press. What a vicious bastard he was. On the night of August 10th, 1977, Berkowitz was taken into custody by New York City Police Department homicidal detectives in front of his Yonkers apartment building. He was subsequently indicted for 8 shooting incidents. He confessed to all of them and initially claimed to have been obeying the orders of a demon manifested in the form of a dog belonging to his neighbor Sam. Despite his explanation, Berkowitz was found mentally competent to stand trial. Oh, I bet that just sounds like he's trying to pin the tail on the donkey. He's trying to plead to insanity, but no, I don't particularly think they saw through it that much. He pled guilty to second-degree murder and was incarcerated in state prison. He subsequently admitted that the dog and the devil, it was a hoax. In the course of further police investigations, Berkowitz was also implicated in many unsolved arsons in the city. I knew New York City in the 70s wasn't particularly a well-endowed place, but that's... oh my god. Criminal penalty, 6 life sentences. 6 killed, 10 wounded, including 2 stabbings. In prison at Shargonka Correctional Facility. 67 years old. He spent the better part of nearly 45 years in prison. I don't even think 45 years even covers 1 life sentence, let alone 6. Intense coverage of the case by the media lent a kind of celebrity status to Berkowitz, which he seemed to enjoy because he's a friggin' sociopath. As noted by some observers, in response, the New York State Legislature enacted 2 new statutes, known popularly as Son of Sam laws, designed to keep criminals from financially profiting from the publicity created by their crimes. 6-9. The statutes have remained law in New York despite various legal challenges, and similar laws have been enacted in several other states. Berkowitz has been incarcerated since his arrest and is serving 6 consecutive life sentences. During the mid-1990s, he amended his confession to claim that he had been a member of a violent satanic cult that orchestrated the incidents as ritual murder. A few law enforcement authorities have said that his claims may be credible. But he remains the only person ever charged with the shootings. A new investigation of the murders began in 1996, but was suspended indefinitely after inconclusive findings. Dirty, dirty motherfucker. Mind you, that's a good law to pass on there, right? To stop. I don't even know if we really... I'm pretty sure we... No, I don't particularly think we have that kind of thing in the UK. I don't particularly think we have laws on that sort of thing. But, well, Berkowitz, all I'm going to say right now is that I know you're not watching this video. I know fine well you're not going to see the light of day probably for the rest of however long you've got to live your miserable satanic life incarceration. And you think I've got bad things to say about you. What about all the people you killed? What about them, Mr. Berkowitz? Did they deserve to die? What did they do to, get in your way? What was the name of this group you were part of? What the hell possessed you to suddenly think that, you would believe that a dog, you had the idea from a dog that told you to kill people? Do you really think the police were just going to say, oh, okay, right, I'm sure we'll just slam him off. It's a nice dog as well. No, there was absolutely no way that you were ever going to get away with it. And I'm glad you never got away with it. I'm glad you're serving 45 years of what can only be described as your first life sentence. All I could say, Mr. Berkowitz, is that as you sit there probably thinking, because 45 years is a very, very long time, I sincerely hope you've had a long time to think about what you've done, and then, you could probably think that again as you are serving your second life sentence. And just to make sure, I hope by the time your sixth life sentence comes to an end, it will be the year 2467. Just because I want to make it absolutely certain and adamant that your body never sees the light of day for what you've done. Harsh words, perhaps, but then again, I'm pretty sure all the people you killed have got a lot meaner things to say to you by the time you get up to heaven. Just don't expect any, royalty checks or, a hero's welcome when you get up there. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought about I Hear Black by Overkill. And please make sure to also check out the rest of my channel. See if there's anything else you might take your fancy. There's plenty of videos on the way. And in that tone, I will all see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and welcome back one and all to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take you guys on a path, a journey, into a world of pain, a world of hurt. Now, you may remember from my previous few reactions to Dreamy and Colombian and I Hear Black, where it took a while for me to kind of like get used to Overkill's sort of more riffier sort of style going into this. But I think, especially from I Hear Black is anything to go by, it's a different kind of like change. It's something that I didn't particularly think I would have expected out of Overkill, but you know what? If they can make it work, then I suggest we just let them get on with it. And especially because World of Hurt, it's only credited as being written by both Vernie and Blitz, and those two guys, they go together like steak and chips. They really do. So we're gonna see what Overkill's World of Pain looks like. So also, I've had a haircut, the first time in 8 months, but that's not important. So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. World of Hurt in 3, 2, 1, and... I thought the thing wasn't plugged in properly, but it is.
Aggravation, human greed, money, power, hypocrisy. I have no feelings, not much the same. We have no feelings, we feel no pain. I am numb to all I see. This awakening has to be. God is hope, God is need. I know, stone don't bleed. What's the word? For I die.
Okay, kind of like what you see, this is kind of like reinforcing the problem I had before, is that I can't work out for the life of me what angle they're going with this. I don't know whether they want to be fast or slow, and is it me or does Blitz's words, they just kind of sound a bit jumbled, and they just kind of like, I'm gonna take it back like a few seconds. I want you guys to see it. I'm not going mad. It seems as if just like he's like either there's like no emphasis on this. So I'll demonstrate to you what I mean. Okay, watch this. Okay, that might not have been the best example. I'll check something later. I'm going to go through the comments just to find. I want to find out what people have got to think about this. I want to find out for myself. People who don't like this album should go back and listen to a few more listens. It may not have the speed, but it is heavy as fuck and a metal classic. Brutal Blitz for President 2020. That's quite a bold one. Awesome album. Proof you don't need crazy double bass to make a good metal song. That is true, but how good, I suppose, is a good point to make. Back in 93, cassette featured selection. They begin tons of love since Art of Guitar, Aggravation, Fuel Me, Overkill is powerful. The album is perfect. That's kind of a Interesting one. Okay, so, but actually, I tell you what, that's a good, really sort of like place to like end it, because first off, ladies and gentlemen, that was World of Hurt by Overkill. You remember how I was saying in the beginning how I said it's like steak and chips, like where could you go wrong? But and I don't really know what the I think, well, one, that is an issue because when I think Overkill, I think one of two things, that they're going to be speed slash thrash, aka they're going to play a song at nearly 400 miles an hour. They are going to scream their lungs out before they crash into a tree. That's what I think when, on one side of the coin, when I think Overkill. The other side is like a funeral procession slash army march type song, where everything is slow but everything is perfectly paced out. Who Tends the Fire is a very, very strong example of this. It's back on Years of Decay. And that's because World of Hurt doesn't really have either of those things. It's a little bit too fast to be considered doom metal, and it's nowhere near as fast enough. It's sort of like it's like somebody breaking out into a jog. But it's not a sprint. It's not having a rocket shoved up your arse. It's just kind of a very casual sort of thing. And Overkill, and the word casual, sometimes I don't think is a phrase I would use for these type of videos, because I like some things that are there were many things that are very casual that people enjoy, like going into a shop to buy a drink or buy some water, or maybe a casual, a book, something that you just like pick up and put down whenever you want. Something casual, nothing, aggressive, nothing like too hardcore, stuff like that. I hope this is making some sense, because it's not that I don't dislike this song, but I'm not really a fan of it. And when I imagine World of Hurt, and the lyrics perfectly convey possibly somebody like being flayed or flogged in hell, backs turned to madness, backs to misery, or this could be just the real world and Blitz is just looking on this world as, well, people are living in ignorance. Either they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care about what's going on in the hood. God rest his soul, John Singleton. I boys in the hood, man. But and now listen, that's fair enough. Paints my world of hurt, paints in my world, in my world, in my world of... Well, to be fair, he didn't need to say it. I think we got the idea. We are blind and we are cold, still afraid of growing old. We are afraid because it happens to us. Now, again, I could talk... There's plenty to be said about that. But the issue I have with this song is that Blitz kind of, and maybe this was intentional, Blitz goes about the business of the song like, oh, this is happening. Well, that kind of sucks. It's a very casual sort of approach, saying all of these things about this world are terrible, but we've grown so accustomed to it that we are not surprised. So why not say something about that? Do something kind of ironically about it. And to be fair, even the score really has issues as well. Remember how I was saying there's like either slow, and it's not slow enough, and it's not fast enough, and then the end where you got this cool dynamite sort of riff from Vernie. At least I think it was Vernie who was doing it. I'll have to like double check that. It probably would have just been Blitz. The more I think about it. But again, the issue with that is that riff, it kind of comes in a little bit too late to sort of like pull any interest in, because it sort of like happens at like the 4:20 mark or something like that, or the 4-minute mark. So you kind of like got a whole minute to sort of like let it sink in, and it's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting. If anything, it sounds like something they borrowed from Doken's Mr. Scary, the more I think about it, because Doken did a lot of riffs like that. They're kind of, I wouldn't say they're completely similar to Overkill, but from what I have heard of Doken in my in other videos. It sounds kind of this inspired, or somebody must have done it. So yeah, World of Hurt, not really one of my favorites. It's passable, but somehow I get the feeling that's not quite good enough for an Overkill song, especially for someone who is so fond of these guys. So whatever, you know what? The steak, maybe it was just a day where you didn't really want any steak and chips. Maybe I should have just gone for some soup instead. Oh well, it bees that way sometimes. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video for what it was worth. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of World of Hurt for yourselves by Overkill. Please let me know if there's something I'm missing out of this. It'll be interesting. I'll say that much. And I will hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our next song from Overkill's On I Hear Black. I'm coming into this video straight off of doing World of Hurt, and World of Hurt is kind of like a bit like an amalgamation of some of the problems I have of I Hear Black. Is that it's not particularly the fastest paced album I've ever heard Overkill do. It's kind of like Sonic. If this was anything, if anything, this album is like, it's like Sonic the Hedgehog without the speed. I don't want to say it goes at a snail's pace, because it doesn't sometimes, but it just feels a little bit too slow. I mean, if they wanted to just make a whole doom metal based album, then they should go for it. But then of course they have stuff like I Hear Black, which is about this American serial killer, with the Son of Sam killer. But that's I've already covered that before. So let's see what Feed My Head. Actually, before we get started, Feed My Head, I managed to find out that apparently there was a Dio song called Feed My Head just before looking this one up. So, not that I think this is a copy or anything like that, but it'll be interesting to do like a compare and contrast someday. So, there's that, I suppose. So, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. So let's begin. Feed My Head in 3, 2, 1, and... Yeah, you know what? That's it. This, again, it answers the problem. Is that they should have just gone full Doom. They should have gone very slow-paced, and they should have let things sink in. And I love the first verse. Talk is cheap. I can't afford the price of wasted time. Who will reap the profit of the lie? Who is going to... Who is going to pay for coming up with that line? Because I wonder if Blitz is just like surrounded by people who just waste. Speaking for myself, it's one of the few things I absolutely hate more than anything else. With all of my hate, people that straight up waste my time. I'm all for being patient, ladies and gentlemen, but there are some people who really take the piss. I think we've all been there. And I don't know whether or not it's just because I'm still young, I guess, that it stings a bit more when you come to realize it, but I can sympathize deeply.
Who will reap the profit
Wait a minute. We are. That's better. Now, I want to hear that. That is like. That's not the world falling out of your arse, ladies and gentlemen. That is the world rocketing itself up yours. Holy moly. That, ladies and gentlemen, was Feed My Head. One second. Feed My Head, by a very long way, even more than I Hear Black, is the best thing about this album, because it does what World of Hurt set out to do, but it... Oh, for God's sake, now what? So, okay, I hear Feed Me... So, I'll tell you what exactly... I love... What I... Okay, so, at the risk of being interrupted again, let me just get to the point. I love the idea, because it's not just about the music, it's just about the fact that they brought a thunderstorm. That's how I could describe that. I don't really want to call it a drop. It's like they turned it up to 11. That's not a drop. That's not a transition. That's just, they took something and they made it even better. On previous occasions, like Dreaming in Colombian or World of Hurt, they kind of didn't really try and change that much. But what was better is that just in Feed My Head, they just did everything better. That's the thing I've realized about this. And it's one of the best melodic metal albums of all time in beautiful arrangements. The quality is actually, yeah, exactly. The album isn't underrated. It made the Billboard 200 back in 93 or something like that, I think. So the point I'm trying to get across, and it's something that is like when you get lines like this, like drawn up is a picture of myself. Is this meant to be like a comment saying that like art is sort of like self-reflectory and kind of an act of vanity, perhaps? That's the one thing that kind of like got through my head through a large part of this song, is that they tried as much as they can to incorporate or intertwine their own little things, like Overkill is one to do. Feed my head of a lie, feed my head reflections of a lie, feed my head, feed my. Blitz is basically in dire need of knowledge, but what he's not in dire need of is being fed bullshit. And I think we've all been there when we've ever been fed bullshit. Things that are just straight up not true, and things that will continue to be spouted as like lies. Like, people telling me that I'm never going to make it in this world is absolute bullshit, because not only will I make it, I'm going to make their lives hell and be an even bigger asshole once I'm in an executive position. That will really piss people off. I wonder if that's like the dying ambition of any young person right now, is that they work for an asshole so that one day they may become an even bigger asshole in return. But Feed My Head, it's just boom. Shit, and it shook the room. It shakes your head up more than anything, and that's gonna like, I'm just gonna put that one part in one more time just before we go. I hope, honest to God, like, how many more songs have we got left on I Hear Black? 7 songs left. That's quite a lot, and I hope the rest of them are just in this vein. Because, you know what? Feed my head, hungry for more. Something inside, something unfound, and I'm hungry like the wolf. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see all of you guys again in the next video, where probably I'll be interrupted even less or possibly even more. Depends. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to our 4th. Are we moving on to no, we're moving on to our 5th song in I Hear Black by Overkill. And like I said, this song has been a sort of like an up and down sort of track here. It's interesting. That's what I could say for it at the moment. There've been a lot of good moments in this album already, but there's also been some stuff that I think I'm glad I listened to it at least once, because I don't particularly think I'd recommend it again. But with that being said, maybe we'll move into something that's kind of a little bit more in the middle, if such a thing could exist. So, if you guys will check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Shades of Grey in 3, 2, 1, and...
drift from my cigarette. I hear the roaches cross the floor. Slam bands around me. In my chair I sit. The gray's leaking through the door. There's a shade in the gray that I've never seen before. My gaze fixed on the space beneath the door. My life flash before my eyes. All the sweat grew from one solitary drop. Rays moving across the floor. We walk alone, no one beside us. It's never as simple as black or white. We should have known no one would find us, and we would all wind up in shades of gray, shades of gray, shades of gray, shades of gray. Everybody listening, every time I get a chance, it's quite naked. And sometimes I want to turn around and just talk and say that everything inside is flowed out. I have the nobody listening, so I talk to myself. Sometimes I pay me no mind. I lost this argument so very long ago. The right words were so hard to find. I can't breathe in the grave. I can't find the key to the door. We walk alone, no one beside us. It's never as simple as black or white. We should have known no one would find us, and we would all wind up in shades of gray, shades of gray, shades of gray, shades of
Wow. That's Like, you know what? You may have heard me say this before, but I never expected something like that out of Overkill of all things. That was like, I wonder genuinely whether or not Overkill listened to Nothing Else Matters, and they thought we could do that, because there are quite a lot of parallels between those two songs, and they are both great songs in their own right. But what I think I never understood, possibly from the beginning, from Shades of Grey, is that it's the idea that you could sort of like be in the middle, but you're brushed off as everything else. You're neither good or bad. You're just grey. You are in the middle. In the same way that, how else did they put it? Let me just, because there really aren't that much like lyrics to this. It's mostly about this really somber kind of. I don't really imagine Overkill songs being that somber. They talk about some bleak things sometimes, but they're never actually a bit, cruel or harsh. My gaze fixed on the space beneath the door. My life flashed before my eyes. All this sweet grew from one solitary drop, grays moving across the floor. Is he talking about... In fact, forget that. Forget the idea of, he sees himself as just in the center, like neither good nor bad. What if this is just a song about somebody going colorblind? Why can we not put that out of the equation? What if this is just a song about a guy suddenly realizing that there's now grey beneath the door, but there wasn't grey there before? What could be the explanation behind this? And then we walk alone, no one beside us. It's never as simple as... I suppose there are examples there of the idea before that, he's neither good nor bad like anyone else. We should have known no one would find us. The idea that, again, they are nowhere near significant because everyone is swept or covered in this one broad stroke of grey. It seems like every time I get a chance is quite naked. And as I turn around, and inside there's no doubt it's going to happen again. He's going to feel despondent. He's going to feel like there is no point to these arguments. There's no point to thinking like this. However, the whole point about thinking about that is that it's something that's been plaguing his mind. He realizes that, well, okay, we're all thrown into the same boat, but there are no more barriers because I've come to realize it. And even though I've come to realize it, this confession serves absolutely nothing. Which is, I know it's paraphrasing the ending to American Psycho, but that's a good way to look at it. It's that no matter what we've come to realize, whether or not we've discovered this grey area of society where we're all thrown in, where one person is neither good nor bad, which is good. We've all done bad things in our lives. There's no doubt about that. But what has angered Blitz is that, yes, that is true, but so what if that's the case? Then what does this prove? Or does this excuse the things that I've done wrong? Does this make the things I've done good seem meaningless in retrospect? Nobody listening. Well, maybe because it's one of those things nobody has ever dared to ask before. So I talk to myself. Sometimes I pay me no mind. I lost this argument because he's realised that either he's asked himself this too many times, or it just simply, there is no point to continue because he already knows the answer. So very long ago, the right words were so hard to find. I can't breathe in the grey. I can't find the key to the door. He's locked himself in this cycle, this loop, basically in a room with four walls and not much variation. A bit like perhaps his opinion of the rest of the world. That it's virtually the same color, and there's no getting away from it. And I'm going to go, once again, I'm going to go through the comments to Shades of Grey, where even if he can't get away from this cycle he's in, he might soon have to realize the grim reality that if that's true, then nothing else should matter then either, for better or worse. I wonder if this is like another one of those Barrowitz sort of incidents, like what we heard on I Hear Black. Because strangely enough, is there a song about light on this album? I Hear Black, Shades of Grey, Undying. I was wondering whether or not there'll be something about like white or something like here, because they seem to play on the idea of like colour a little bit in this album, from the black in the foreground to the orange. Let's find something. No reason why this song should leave you speechless. That's quite a good one, because when I come to think about it, this song is a little bit of a speechless one, because I never thought Overkill really had it in them. I knew they were capable of some remarkable feats before, but Shades of Grey, I almost want to say that the sins of some of the problems I've had earlier in this album are forgiven, because what would it matter if they were forgiven or not? Because it's all the same, really, isn't it? But maybe it's because we're not all the same. Maybe it's because there are more shades on this planet than just grey. Maybe, just maybe, there's a lot more to it than simply from what we see. Well, what would you suspect, ladies and gentlemen? You wanted your door painted black, or do you want it in a shade of grey? That's something to think about. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video to Shades of Grey. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the song for yourselves. And I will hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing on our voyage, our very downward spiral voyage into the world of the spiritual void. Two very, very distinct words, I must say the least. So, because so far, I Hear Black has given me quite a lot to think about, and I want to see where the spiritual void takes us, because if this album is good for at least one thing in particular, is that they've gotten me to think Overkill a little bit differently than what I'm used to, which is always good to try something new. It's a bit like saying, how about we try the fish today instead of just having the steak? So, with all that being said and done, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Spiritual Void in 3, 2, 1, and... We're not even like 20 seconds in. Is this Overkill, or is this Led Zeppelin? This shit sounds exactly like Led Zeppelin. God damn. Oh, there it is.
fills me with that special pain that makes a man feel right in his brain. But soul of fire, feel it so alive in your own way. If you need a reason to get some healing, if your spirit's bleeding, get some healing. I need a new religion. Laughing like a true believer, laughing hard, not true deceiver. Without a worry in this world, no pain and time. If you need a reason to find some healing, if your spirit's bleeding, we get higher. Oh, we are spiritual boy. One for connecting me, and two, I'm away to three. No, I never felt so low. I never felt so low as in that void.
Where's the turn up button? Starting to get the impression, guys, that this album is getting better and better. That's what I'm getting out of this now. Bless the soul with what we need. Self-indulgent, constant greed. What's mine is mine is mine. So take your own, leave me alone. If you need a reason to find some healing, if your spirit's bleeding, we get higher. Oh, we are spiritual boy. Oh, good lord. In fact, Gasoline Dream, is Gasoline Dream on this? No, okay. It's just the first thing I saw was apparently something called Gasoline Dream. I've no idea what that's supposed to be, but if it's a shame as well, because I would have loved to have seen on this album what that would have sounded like. And sort of like a little tradition, what we do now is that we just go through the comments just very, very briefly to see what people thought and see if it's just as good as I thought it was. One of Overkill's finest releases doesn't get nearly the credit it deserves because a lot of thrash fans seems to be whiny bitches who throw if it isn't fast enough. Oh, don't worry. Overkill, they could go fast or they could go slow. It's sort of like where it's a little bit... My issue is that if Overkill tries to be both, or it's sort of halfway between, where it's kind of just a little bit, that's the sort of problem I had in stuff like Dreamy and Colombian. That's what I'm talking about. Or incorporates other elements besides thrash. Groove seems to be one. It does have a bit of groove in it, but I'm not complaining about that. I love the fact that this guy is literally just going after fans of Overkill as if they were just bitches. Either they play thrash or groove in both ways, they're amazing. Okay, well, yeah, I think groove as opposed to doom is supposed to be the way they're going, but I've got to say, it speaks for itself. The artwork reminds me of Hell levels in Earthworm Jim. That's a pretty out there comparison to make, and I'm not going to disagree with them for that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was, as you might suspect, Spiritual Void. And it's strange as well because it's, from what I could work out, it's a song about just I think the dudes at Overkill, Blitz and Gustafon and Vernie and that, they just decided, let's just get high for a good couple of hours and just to see what we could come up with. Because I'd strongly like to suggest, unless of course I'm really missing out on something, is that, isn't there like, I think there's meant to be like a Black Sabbath song called like Into the Void, I think, which I don't know, I think that was on their Master of Reality album, and where, well, if they weren't doing drugs immediately before it, they would probably be doing drugs immediately afterwards. But the case I want to make is that it's strange because the more I think about it, have I really heard Overkill really do like a song about drugs before? Because it's sort of, I think it's sort of like going towards the people that would take it, those who are down and out and so hideously depressed that I heard that apparently a medical study a few days ago said that there was a very strong link between depression and people who solved it by taking magic mushrooms, which says can have a very, very uplifting effect on the body. So perhaps this is a song about magic mushrooms. I need a new religion, worship the reefer or whatever they call that shit. I will say there are quite a lot of references already. Kind of strange because it's kind of like the opposite in many ways to Master of Puppets, where Master of Puppets they go through the notions, they talk about the downward spiral and how somebody who's literally first took drugs out of leisure, then they went to harder stuff, and then they were begging to be fixed. Now we go to Overkill's angle where bless me with that special pain. It's special because even though it's doing harm, or, well, the thing I constantly hear about is that, drugs are, for the most part, not harmful, but that's a special pain. Unless it's, well, I'm going to assume it's the zone he's going to be sent to after he's, he can't, see past his own eyes. That makes a man feel as right as rain, medicine. And again, that Master of Puppets reference I was talking to. My soul of fire, he is blazing it up. 420. If only I'd waited like a few more days to do this and say 420 blaze it. Well, there you are, that's a missed opportunity right there. If you need a reason to get some healing, if your spirit's bleeding, then get some healing. I need a new religion. I love... And I suppose the more I think about it, that's exactly why they wanted to do a groove impression. They wanted something groovy. They wanted to chill with, you know, getting high. That's almost the beginning and endings of why I can honestly suspect the music and the tone of the song was going in this direction. And then they just went to a moment where basically everyone blazed out and it was like, welcome to Pillow World, brah. Let me make you feel comfortable. There we go. How you doing? Listen, never done drugs myself, but to be honest, some things I've heard about. What does that shit actually do to you? Does it like? I don't know. I'm asking the wrong people because I wouldn't even know. Do we get higher? Ha 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 ha. Higher. Are we all higher in a spiritual void? Meaning, are we just wondering? Are we just like walking about in one of those like void type shit? There's like nothing, man. We're just in this we're in this giant black void and there's absolutely nothing. Everyone's just like walking about. They go to work, they come back home. They don't have nothing. They don't have no spirit. They ain't got no. That I wonder generally if that's like the approach some people have when they're high and they just talk random. I do not need drugs. I can spout out as much shit as I can for this entire country. That is, I could talk shite for England. But I generally wonder whether there comes a point where you never know, you might actually hit up on something because, to be honest, what else is there to talk about? I imagine it just sort of like, I don't really want to say it fries your brain, but it kind of like scrambles it, and all of a sudden like you start saying things and doing things that you don't really mean, and then all of a sudden your body doesn't know what to do with it, and then you pass out on the floor for about a few hours. Dreaming about whether or not the giant popcorn monster is going to come to eat you. And bless us all with what we need, self-indulgent, constant greed. He's talking about, you know, existential and all that shit, like saying that, look at us, all we do is we take, and we can't get enough. What's mine is mine is mine. There you go. So get your own, leave me alone. This dude, I reckon the dude who's just getting high is just, he is in a world of shit. And all he wants is just to be left alone, just so he can, you know, be here but not here at the same time. I wonder if this says a lot more about people who do drugs like that as opposed to the drugs themselves. Actually, you know what? Maybe that is the thing. Maybe it should say more about the people who take drugs than the drugs themselves, because that's a very interesting idea. And I'm gonna, if Overkill do more of this kind of stuff, I'm gonna have to like really go at it. But I think I've just about said what I needed to say, so you know what, let's blaze out. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed Spiritual Void by Overkill. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Spiritual Void for yourselves, and I will hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care, bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a bit of a shorter one to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but there is some things I kind of did want to talk about anyway when we're going to start off this video. Is the volume? Okay, the volume's alright. Okay, cool. So, normally I would, if I was going to do songs this short, I would like immediately follow it up with something a bit longer, just basically the next song that comes up. However, I think that the song is, well, I'll get to that in a second, is just short enough that there's at least, we can talk about as much of it as we can without like going over like any detail, because even a poem that's only like 4 stanzas in length is worth talking about. I think there's a lot to be unpacked in a sentence that might only be as well 5 words. And just To Live Is To Die only had about 10 or so words in it and all, and that's a 10-minute song. So, which kind of like brings us to the awkward situation for a completely instrumental song, which Overkill doesn't really do all that lot. They have, or if they do like decide to shake things up a bit, is that they would make an extended solo of a song with only a few lyrics here and there, because Skull Crusher in many ways is kind of like an instrumental, because the lyrics are very easy to learn and you can listen to the song without having anything being said. Standing at the crossroads, which way you gonna go and what gonna do when it comes? Bargaining with gasoline, take a ride on this machine. Who's gonna get me some when it comes? You get the idea. That is, it's catchy is what I'm trying to say. And Overkill has had a lot of catchy material over the years. So let's see if Ghost Dance is going to have the same sort of magical effect on us all. So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Ghost Dance in 3, 2, 1, and... In fact, you know what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen? That was Ghost Dance, and again, for what it's worth, it is quite simply the winding gear of an engine, meaning that something is destined to come. The shattering, as I call it, just kind of sounds like maybe the march of some skeleton army, or with maybe this is what I was, maybe they were inspired by that spooky scary skeletons video from the 1920s. Maybe that's what it was all about. Now, if I had to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I would stop the video here. However, at the risk of this being too short, we're going to do the song that immediately follows this. Let's see what this is all going to accumulate to. Oh, Neo Automata got like a... Actually, imagine how freaking badass that would be. I mean, 2B is already like... It's getting me all blustered here already, but imagine her jamming to Overkill. That's something. But we're going to take a look-see here and listen to the following song, Weight of the World. So, get ready, because here we go.
waiting forever so long? Do you freeze in the heat? Where sunglasses ignite? And are you feeding my meat to the sound of the same old drum? It's time to shed your skin. The pain become a sin. And we fight down hard and feel the weight of the world. Yeah, there's a soul in them words. Though they leak through your teeth, you're shaking hands with the right and you're cutting my throat with the left. Yeah, it's the way of the world. When you lay down with dogs, after pumping your leg, they just leave you with these and just black. It's time to shed your skin. A bad promises. Yeah, we fight down hard and feel. For I know the less I understand. Try not to think out loud. For I know, more I know, more I know, more I feel. The weight of the world.
Hold it. First of all, we are only just halfway into this, really? Second of all, that's better.
More I know, more I know, more I know, more I feel. The weight of the world. It's the weight of the world. When you lay down with dogs, all the names have been changed, but the story is always the same. It's time to shed your skin. Abandon your promises. And we fight down hard and feel. The more I know, the less I understand. Try not to think out loud. More I know, more I know, more I know, more I feel. The weight of the world. Weight of the world.
Oh my god, my neck. And I was talking up a big game about, posture and that earlier today. I feel like I've blown something in my neck. That's not a good sign, but I must find out later what that wants. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, weight of the world. And, well, hang on a minute. Do you freeze in the heat? Wear sunglasses and... I don't call it intuition, ladies and gentlemen, but I do not think these choice of lyrics were coincidental. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. First of all, the music is just somehow overkill. It's like it's like a completely different album now. It's kind of like Ghost Dance was just like an intermission sort of thing, and then boom, do. Shit, me, I'm boiling as well. I need to get some clothes off. Shit, my boots. You know what? I think I need a drink. That's I think that's the next thing I need. Now, getting back on track. Weight of the World. Just I empathize with this song a lot because I empathize exactly with the people they're talking about. Because I fit into this category 100%. You want to know why? I'll go through this entire song line by line if I have to. You feel the weight of the world and your back's not that strong. The spirit is strong but the flesh is weak. And it's when you are so overcome with stress and pressure, you feel as if like everything is suddenly out to get you. You become very defensive because your mind is so busy calculating thousands of things a minute and you cannot afford to like take anything else on board. And you begin to look at everyone else because suddenly you might think that they're going to make your life difficult and ridiculously complicated for no reason. So don't have anything to do with them. Just hiss at them if you have to. I felt like that many times in my life. I just feel as if like I couldn't dare to look anybody in the face because they have some of the coldest, fucking ugliest looks in the world. But that's just all in here. And that's what happens when you're under a lot of stress. You feel like everything is becoming your enemy because nobody is making anything easier for you. That's just the truth. Can you carry a tune, or is the waiting forever so long? The wait, I like the way they spell it, W-E-I-G-H-T. You're waiting forever. You are living with a burden. And what's it say? Can you carry a tune, or is it waiting forever for so long? Do you think this might have been a slight jab at Blitz? Like somebody accused him of being a bad singer, perhaps? Or, if look at it another way, are people going to look at you as inferior to somebody else? That's another big thing that will bring on stress, is that no matter how much you do, no matter how much you work for, people are going to look down on you. That shit is like... And you're going to have to live with this fact that not so much that you are, worse than everyone else, but that everyone is going to continue this approach on you. Do you freeze in the heat? Wear sunglasses at night. The idea is that you don't feel comfortable in your natural surroundings, so you have to feel comfortable in your own right. I get that. I mean, call it, part of Asperger's or not, but I feel so fucking great just sometimes just being on my own. And that's a great way to take stress off, is like, I don't know, having somebody to talk to. That's a fucking massive weight off your shoulders right there. And are you beating my meat to the sound of the same old drum? You know what? Change things up. Get a different porn mag. Find something else. Take up a hobby. Keep it fresh. That's what they're talking about. Keeping it fresh. Trying something new. Keep it real. It's time to shed your skin, exactly, and with it, promises. And we bite down hard and feel. Meaning, you've got to really get a hold of what you want to do. And you've got to, rip its heart out if you have to. That's straight up what it is. You know what? You don't want to be, have the weight on your world anymore. You have to have the power to not only carry it, but to throw it off as well. That's what it is. Yeah, that's a song in them words. Though they leak through your teeth. Just gripping them so tight because you're so much in fear of, your back giving out or your legs breaking. You feel as if every atom in your body is fighting against you as well. And the only thing that's keeping this world on your shoulders is your spirit. That's what it is. And it's oozing out of your system. It's a good word, that, isn't it? Oozing. You're shaking hands with the right while you're cutting my throat with the left. Yeah, it's the weight of the world. When you lay down with the dogs after humping your leg, this is ideally what happens if you give up, is that you will be left for dead, and all of a sudden wild feral animals will come and literally do the one thing that all feral and wild animals do to a corpse: rape it. Or eat it. Possibly, I don't know. They'll at least pee on it, that's what they'll do. The more I know, the less I understand. The fact is that they took a line from one of my favourite songs of all time, The Changing Man by Paul Weller. That's already a very noble move, because it's a line that more songs I think should have. The more I know, the less I understand. Try not to think out loud, because you know what? Try not to think out loud. You want to know why I don't think out loud about feeling overwhelmed and pressured? Is because I don't think people will understand. That's honest to God, that's what I feel it is. I feel like my predicament, my situations are so of their own that I do not think there will be people around there. But people would sympathize with the fact that some people work and are very, very harsh on themselves for working, because they work very ungodly hours. They work for a very almost slave-like labour wage, and there is nothing better, there's nothing worthwhile to come home to. The more I know, more I know, more I know, more I feel the weight of the world. He's self-awareness. He's realising that's exactly what's happening. It's the weight of the world, and when you lay down with the dogs, all the names have been changed, but the story is always the same. Same shit, different day, different people. That's what it is. It's people fighting in the struggle to keep civilization in one tact on here. And I don't exactly have a very strong shoulder myself. Although you could say this was the consequence of me falling off the top of the world. But that's a story that is only about 2 weeks from the 10-year anniversary. I'm going to make sure to do that as well. But aside from that, I think straight up, in fact, you know what a better message to get this across than in the metal genre. A genre that even as far back as the 90s, people were still failing to understand exactly how they could call it music. Well, you know what? This is what I call music. Now that's what I call music. There needs to be like a metal version of that, like, chain of albums. I mean, why not? I've got a copy of, like, the earliest one is that, Now That's What I Call Music 72, that had stuff like Lily Allen, Lady Gaga, N-Dubs, Tinchy Strider, that sort of shit on it. The Saturdays. But to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I feel it's a good thing to be reminded that there are people out there who do understand. That's worth so much more, is to be heard and understood. So anyway, after that, feeling very content and very happy about that, I hope you guys have enjoyed Ghost Dance and The Weight of the World. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the two songs for yourselves, and I will hope to see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. And yes, I really did just go through the whole song and talk about every single line. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say at exactly 14:47 and a bit in the afternoon, we are moving on with our... Is there such a thing like a third penultimate thing? Because this is the third to last song on Overkill's I Hear Black. Ignorance and innocence just go hand in hand. Now, considering my opinions have been on this album so far, it started off for me kind of slow, and then it built up very, very gradually. So let's see exactly how this comes together. Does it rise to a brilliant ending, or is it going to sort of like fizzle towards the end? So we're about to find out. So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Ignorance and Innocence. In 3, 2, 1, and... For a minute there, I generally thought that was Blitz's guitar speaking to us. Or it might have been Gustafon's. Someone was talking to us right there. That takes some skill, that. I mean, check this out in case you think I'm going crazy.
What's it like to be inside? Will I ever stop?
Very, 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 very something. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ignorance and Innocence by Overkill. Very interesting. I'll say that much. I don't think it's been as good as, I'd say, what we've experienced already, like Weight of the World and Shades of Grey. But it just seems like a very, I don't really want to say gentle, I don't suppose, but it seems like a very, very just a chill metal song, i.e. just something you could just like have in the background. And okay, imagine this song was on and you could just like chill like this, and then you're just kind of like going, you know what, I could deal with that. See, sometimes metal songs cannot technically very technically sort of relaxing technically, but there are exceptions, meaning that you could just sort of like lie back and just go, it's not bad, isn't it? Because sometimes like I get the idea that when I listen to Megadeth sometimes is that I just want to like friggin', you know, go mental. But Ignorance and Innocence, it's just kind of like, that's the thing about these riffs, man. It's that it's just cool, and it seems as if like they're more concerned about making like something really just, it sounds like something well engineered, like they knew exactly what they were doing. And Overkill isn't really one of those groups that sort of like does things half-ass anyway, so that's why it's absolute bliss to hear stuff like this, because you just chill and lay back and just hear that, and that solo. Overkill always managed to have at least something extra to put into this. That's always great to hear. Now, with that being said, the song itself, I like the idea, ladies and gentlemen, that it's true. It really is, it's true, because when you're young and naive and innocent, you seem to think that, you know, the world is not as terrible as it might be, like, you know, gaps in the Mirror Fund pension, or, you know, insurance, crime, terrorist threats, mad dogs, stuff like that. You don't worry about shit like that when you're a kid. You don't need to worry about that, because there's still so much you don't know about them. The great thing about being ignorant is that you don't get to know half the stuff you wish you never heard of later in life. That's just straight up being true. And it's what makes you innocent, is because you have no recollection of what any of this shit will mean in your life, because what purpose does it serve? What meaning does it have? And we should just take that as a granted for what it should be, and that is just to enjoy what time you have, not knowing that the world is not always such a great place. Taking rides on a one-way street to nowhere. I'm looking for a sign I understand. Passing time to save my mind, following that road that winds in and out of my towns of hell. Is he like... I mean, I think I get the idea that I think this guy might have been like a criminal at some point who was sent to prison quite early in his life, and then he's come back and realizing that the real world does not look nearly as, you know, innocent and as inviting as before. Will I see the light of day? When will all these dudes be paid? Send on a sign on me, or am I too blind to see? There's so much he does not know, because either he was not taught it, or he missed the boat and he should have listened to it when he had the time. Not bad, ladies and gentlemen. Not bad at all from a 28-year-old song. And I think it's technically like at this point where we've still got like 2 songs left to go, and let me just do a quick check as to what they are. Undying and Just Like You. Now, if I had to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not too sure about what I'm expecting to get out of the last 2 songs, because really everything on this album has been great. But now I'm wondering just where on earth does it all come to an end. So with all that said so far, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video to Ignorance and Innocence, and I will hope to all of you guys again in the penultimate episode. So take care, and bye bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, where today, ladies and gentlemen, on this Sunday afternoon, we are moving on to the penultimate edition of our reactions to Overkill's I Hear Black, Undying. Now, I've kind of also noticed a little bit like a theme throughout most of the songs on this album is that they seem to concern young people quite a lot. I mean, David Bartowitz was quite a young man when he committed all of those murders. They talk a lot about innocence, they talk a lot about youth, they talk about people suffering from stress, and a lot of young people do suffer from issues with stress because I think it's like the shock of the real world and what's required of them, or just what's accepted for them to do. So like it all comes and hits home. So does Undying fit into this trend somewhat? Well, we're about to find out, and also possibly shades of grey with a sense of like pessimism about it all. So we're about to see for what Undying has got in store. So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Undying in 3, 2, 1, and...
Should you be undying? Undying.
definitely it's definitely again a little bit just as chill as Ignorant and Innocence, but it definitely seemed to have a lot about just this really, really sick riff of it's how exactly can I even put this? It's that it's slow, and it just kind of like is there, and it's just something to just jam to. Can you really call an Overkill song a jammer? And but you know what's even better is that you could just straight up go right ahead. This is almost like Overkill, almost like taking it back to its roots, because Overkill is not exactly afraid to talk about, maniacs, serial killers, and people unleashing bolts amount of aggression onto the world. And from the very first line, "Wake up, baby, daddy's coming to crack your skull in two. Hit you like a hammer, baby, down the play a fool." They got talking about cracking open a kid's skull. That's like a pretty grim and dire way to begin a song. And then he's just going on this tangent saying that, you know what, you're not fighting me out of this. I'm your master. You will do as I say. No to the kicking. No more to say. No having just one meaning. Nothing left to say. No way. And what's the surface the anger, immortality, should you be undying? And perhaps this is just that wail at the end of Undying is just this dude saying, you know what? I'm undying because I have... It's like this guy has just decided to take lives and claim that he is completely invincible and immortal. That's kind of like... That's just how I'd imagine that's like how the song plays out, because he then, after all, there's another really, really cushy sort of solo. They went for no forgiveness, no more to say. He's sort of like grasped the idea in his head, like the mist has descended about what he's actually sort of done, and then he's going to go ahead and do more of it anyway, because why not? Let him. But Jesus, man. Just, you kind of wonder literally what would drive somebody to do something like that, but that's just, some people are literally just that crazy. They need some Snickers, because they say you're not you when you're hungry. And speaking of hungry, I need to prepare some lunch and that for tomorrow. But I gotta say, for right now, Undying is just, it feels like classic Overkill, which, consider it, putting this up against everything else on this album seems a bit of a strange sort of thing to say, but it's their stuff, not mine, and I can definitely get behind that. No skin off my nose there. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed Overkill's Undying, the penultimate entry in I Hear Black. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought about Undying for yourselves. And I will see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Hello YouTube, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video, and also the grand finale to Overkill's I Hear Black. This has been, honestly, a very interesting little journey we've had on this album, because it went from slow, steady, and then catapulting us across the finish line. And this is sort of like, I almost want to say a cool down sort of thing. Almost as if we've had the best and we're just now going to take it easy before we can all go off to sleep. But that being said, that doesn't mean to say that we can't end on a strong note. So let's just get straight into it, because Just Like You is actually one of the shorter songs on this album, but that doesn't mean we can't still end things off with a bang. So let's see how much bang we get. If you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Just like you. In 3, 2, 1, and... Oh my.
Just like you, they talk when I'm not
Oh.
It's just like you, hit me when I'm down. Symptoms of your lunacy, trying to be what you can be. I don't wanna end up just like you. I can't hear you, I can't see you, I won't hear you. Just like you. It's just like you to think you're playing God. It's just like me to know you're not. Weakening with every day, turn down the sound and fade away. No, I'll never end up just like you. I don't need you, I can't read you, never need you. You can't see me, you can't read me, cold and empty, just like you. Then there's a fallen man, falling by his own hand. What's the way it used to be? Believe in you, but now I'm free. I believe in you, but now I'm free. Now I'm free. I don't need you, I can read you, never need you. You can't see me, you can't read me. I said be free, just like you. Just like you. Just like you.
That was just like that the way that just ended, it sounded like boom, there we are, it's all over, goodbye. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was just like you, basically Overkill's I Hear Black. And I genuinely... Damn. I couldn't even begin to... It just kind of like... You know, how many of you guys have ever heard... it's like if you took Walk by Pantera and then you fast forward it about twice and you probably get Just Like You. Because, listen, there have been dozens of songs of people smack-talking each other. There's also been plenty of songs out there that just talk down to people. Those that say they are going to destroy each other. Just Like You is just like them. However, when you hear... It's when you hear Blitz screech out that he does not to be like them. And it's when you hear... Oh, freaking hell. You hear Blitz screeching... He knows that somebody out there is talking behind his back. Blitz can tell those people from a mile away. And when you think about it, this is kind of like for everything else on this album, is kind of like being the perspective of they are the perpetrators, and this dude in Just Like You is basically the ones looking on the outside. He is the one saying, oh, so you're doing all this shit to me. So, okay, right. So you're singing about doing all these maniacal things. Well, you know what? Do what you want. I'm not interested. But don't talk behind my back like that. That's just... Ooh. Like I said, I'm so glad that it ended the way it did, because it's got my bones rattling and it makes me just kind of like, you know, want even more. That's just the key to any great album, is it leaves you wanting more. Although possibly going forward, I think I would technically like something that's a little bit faster paced, just to remind us all of just what brought me into Overkill in the first place. But with that being said, now that they've smoothed and slowed everything up, I gotta say, it seems to like, it's not just rattling my bones, it's gonna rattle my brain how they pulled off so many great songs on this. That's the real accomplishment here. That's just awesome. What an awesome way to end it. So anyway, with all that being said and done, that brings us to the end of I Hear Black. I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this journey with me. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Just Like You for yourselves, and what you thought of I Hear Black as a whole. And I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.